Most people think an account is something you create once and then simply have until a platform takes it away. That is not really what an account is. An account has a life, and like anything with a life, it moves through stages. A beginning and a long middle and an end, and the end is the part almost nobody plans for. People pour all their care into the birth of it, then run it flat out until it falls over and act surprised when it does. This is the other half of the job. Cooling an account down when it is straining and retiring it cleanly when its working life is finished, so the way one account ends never becomes the reason the next one gets caught. I run real proxy and cloud phone farms, and I have walked enough accounts to the end to know retirement is not an afterthought. It is a stage you manage as deliberately as the warm-up. The accounts that quietly hurt you later are almost never the ones you retired on purpose. They are the ones you abandoned in a hurry and left tangled in infrastructure a live account is still sitting on. The 4 stages of an account. It helps to name the arc out loud, because once you see it, you stop treating every account like it should last forever. There are 4 stages. Warm up, where a new account earns its trust slowly. Active use, where it does the work you built it for. Cool down, where you deliberately ease off because the account is under strain or rate limited. And retirement, where its working life is over and you close it out cleanly. Most people only operate the first 2 and pretend the last 2 do not exist, which is why their accounts end suddenly and messily instead of on their own terms. Active use has a ceiling. An account in active use is not a tap you can leave running forever at full pressure. Every account has a working life, a stretch where it is aged enough to be trusted and not yet strained enough to be throttled, and that window is finite. The harder you push inside it, the faster you spend it. Push it at maximum every day with no regard for where, and you turn a healthy account into a stressed one long before it had to get there. The skill is pacing the work across the whole life, not cramming it into the front. What an account under stress looks like. An account tells you when it is straining if you are paying attention. The reach on what it posts quietly drops. Actions that used to go through instantly start meeting verification prompts. You hit rate limits you never used to, get asked to confirm you are human more often, watch features get temporarily pulled. None of these alone means the account is dying. Together, trending the wrong way over a week or 2, they are the account under load, the platform leaning on it harder than before. That is the signal to change what you are doing, not to push through as if nothing is happening. The mistake is reading these signals one at a time and dismissing each in isolations. One captcha is nothing. One restriction notice you can wave away. What matters is the trend, several small signs moving together in the same direction over days, because that separates a normal bad afternoon from an account genuinely sliding toward trouble. Catching that slide early, while the account is only stressed and not yet finished, is the whole point of paying attention. By the time it is obvious, your options have already narrowed to 1. Rest instead of push me. When an account is clearly under strain, the instinct is to push harder, to get the work done before it gets worse. That instinct is almost always wrong. A stressed account needs rest, not more pressure. The same way a runner cramping mid-race needs to slow down rather than sprint. Easing right off the activity for a stretch and letting the pressure come off recovers it far more often than forcing through does. Pushing a straining account harder turns a temporary cooldown you could have recovered from into a permanent retirement you did not choose. When in doubt, rest it. How a cooldown actually works. A cooldown is not switching the account off and walking away. It is deliberately dialing the account back down to quiet, ordinary, low-pressure activity for a while, the presence a real person shows when they are simply less active rather than gone. You drop the volume, you drop the risky actions completely. You keep the sessions ordinary and unhurried, and you let time do the work. And crucially, you do not change everything else at once. Resist the urge to swap the proxy or move the profile mid-cooldown, because an account that suddenly also changes its network and device does not look rested. It looks like a different operation took it over. Stressed versus cooked. This is the distinction the whole life cycle turns on. A stressed account is straining but still fundamentally alive. One a proper cooldown will bring back. A cooked account has crossed a line it will not come back from, where the trust is spent and no amount of rest restores it. It matters because you treat the two oppositely. A stressed account you nurse patiently. A cooked account you stop pouring time into, because every hour reviving something genuinely finished is an hour stolen from accounts that still have real life left in them. Recognizing an account that is cooked. A cooked account has a certain feel once you have seen a few. Reach that stays flattened no matter how long you rest it. Restrictions that come straight back the moment you resume even gentle activity. A login that meets a wall of verification it can never satisfy. Features that never return. The tell is that rest stops helping, that you give it real quiet time, and it comes back just as throttled as before. One bad week is stress. A pattern of rest producing no recovery over and over is an account telling you its working life is done. Istemdiver V and Commander Masons. Istemly, the loss, there is a real trap here. The same sunk cost pool that keeps people in anything they have invested in. You warmed this account for weeks, built its history by hand, and letting it go feels like admitting waste. But the time already spent is gone, whether you keep going or not. And the only question that matters is whether more time now is likely to recover it. For a genuinely cooked account, the honest answer is no. Accepting that early and moving the effort to account that can use it is one of the least glamorous and most valuable habits in the operation. Retiring on purpose, not abandoning. There is a large difference between retiring an account and abandoning one. Abandoning is what most people do. They stop logging in and let the thing rot wherever it's set, still wired to its proxy and number and profile. Retiring is deliberate. You decide the account is done, you wind its activity down rather than dropping it dead, you record what it was, and you consciously release the infrastructure underneath it so nothing live is left leaning on the same foundations. An abandoned account is a loose thread hanging off your fleet. A retired account is a closed file, and closed files do not come back to surprise you. The archive step. Before you close the book on an account, write down what it was, its purpose, when it was created, when and why it was retired, and the entire stack it sat on. Which proxy, which number, which email, which profile or device. This feels like pointless bookkeeping for something already dead, which is exactly why almost nobody does it, and exactly why they get caught out later. The archive is what lets you know, months from now, that a particular IP or number once carried an account that ended badly, so you never unknowingly hand that marked resource to something new. The recycling trap. Here is the single most expensive mistake in the retirement stage. An account gets banned, and the resources it was using, the proxy, the phone number, the email, the device, all still work and are sitting right there, so you reuse them on a fresh account to save a little money. You have just built a bridge. The platform remembers the IP, the number, the device fingerprint that carried the account it just removed, and the moment a new account shows up on that same footprint, the new one inherits the old one's grave. Never recycle a burnt account's infrastructure onto something you actually care about keeping. The proxy specifically, the proxy is the one people reuse most, because clean IP space costs money, and the banned account's IP still routes traffic fine. But an IP that carried an account all the way to its ban is a marked IP, at least for a while. Drop a fresh account behind it, and you have handed the platform the easiest possible link between the dead account and the new one, the exact network footprint it already associates with a removal. An IP that just lost an account is the last place you want your next one seen living. The number and the email. Recovery details are quieter, but they link just as hard. A phone number or email address attached to a banned account is a permanent thread straight back to it, because those identifiers are precisely what platforms use to recognize a returning user trying again under a fresh name. Reattach that same number or email to a new account, and you have told the platform this is the same person who was here before. Dead accounts should take their recovery details into retirement with them, not pass them down the line. The device and the browser profile carry the same risk, especially with cloud phones and antidetect setups whose whole point was a distinct fingerprint for each identity. Reusing the exact profile or device, a banned account lived on hence the platform, the fingerprint it already tied to a removal. A retired profile should be retired along with the account, not scrubbed lightly and passed to a new identity, because the residue of the old one is exactly the thread you spent all that effort keeping separate. Records, so the retired never link the living. All of this only holds together if you keep the record. A retirement ledger. sitting alongside your live account records that lists every dead account and every resource it took down with it. So when you provision something new, you can check the IP, the number, the device against the graveyard first, and know you are not building on a marked foundation. The honest default is to retire a badly ended account's resources along with it, and treat clean infrastructure as a plain cost of doing this properly. Because the money you save recycling a burnt proxy is the cheapest way there is to lose your next account. Plan capacity around this too, keeping a steady trickle of fresh accounts and clean infrastructure maturing, so when an account reaches the end of its life, you retire it calmly, instead of being forced to recycle a burnt resource because you had nothing clean waiting. I run my own fleet exactly this way, a working life plan for every account, and a retirement ledger that keeps the dead ones from ever reaching back to touch the live ones, because I would rather spend on clean infrastructure than lose a healthy account to the ghost of one that already died. The full guides and tested pics are at multiaccountops.com, including the record templates I actually use and honest write-ups of the proxies and cloud forms I pair with this, no affiliate guesswork. If you have been treating accounts as things that only ever get created, this is the other half of the job. Subscribe for more honest, tested multi-account ops. Next time, how to run a clean handoff when someone else has to take over your accounts, without their shortcuts linking everything you spent months keeping apart.